Hello everyone, how are you all? At last, FR July 2021 exam is over, and I hope everyone who have written this time exam have done exceptionally well for the paper. Correct? Now, why I'm here? I'm here to discuss the entire FR question paper with the analysis. Keep from which chapter how many marks come, and we'll also discuss at the end the entire solution suggested by me. Now, many of you have messaged me after FR paper, immediately after FR paper, to discuss the entire question paper of FR. But I am very much of the opinion that FR paper should be discussed once the entire exam is over. Not only group 1, group 2 entire paper should be over. Then only we should discuss the FR, any question paper. We should discuss any question paper. What happened normally when we discuss question paper? It might happen there might be some mistake which you have done, and if you come across that mistake, so it might happen it disturb you for the next paper, and it might happen your next paper might be affected because of that understanding that you have done some small mistake. So I was very much sure that I should not do that discussion immediately after FR paper. Now time has came, exam is over, you all are relaxed. Now you can do analysis, see how you have done in your FR paper. Correct? So about FR paper analysis, the question paper was entirely from ICI study module. You can't expect more from ICI. Means I will say this FR paper was a gift from ICI to all the students. Almost means out of 120 marks, I will say 114 marks were directly from ICI study module or RTP or MTP. Correct? 114 marks with some modification. There might be some question where some modification has been done by ICI. Normally I will say it was a direct question paper. Only one question I will say which was very new, that was of Ind AS 101, but that was also a conceptual question. That question I will say is totally new, but it was a concept oriented question which might be a part of other question, but that question I will say was newly introduced by ICI, but it was not a new concept for you all. So I can say the entire paper from ICI's resource only. Correct? So you can see question number 1A was for consolidation chain holding question. Question number 1B Ind AS 1 current non-current classification. This was a new question introduced in the May 21 revised study material which has been asked in this exam. Question number 2A analysis of financial statement. It was a question based on Ind AS 1, Ind AS 16, Ind AS 40 directly from ICI module. Correct, with some modification. Question number 2B was Ind AS 115 transaction price allocation. It was directly from ICI module. Question number 3A it was Ind AS 41 agriculture directly from ICI module. Question number 3B Ind AS 36 calculation of impairment loss. Very I will say super easy question. Super easy question directly from ICI module. Question number 3C Ind AS 21 intra-group transaction directly from ICI module. Directly from ICI module. Question number 4A Ind AS 109 measurement of financial asset directly from ICI module. Correct now. Question number 4A it was Ind AS 101. I have already said. Question number 4B Ind AS 101. There were two part, means you can do either government loan question or applicability of CSR, corporate social responsibility. So it was, I will say, it was a new question for government loan with some modification was done in CSR applicability question. Correct? I will say it might be a new question introduced, but it was in the question was similar question might be in what ICI study module. 5A EPS super easy question directly from ICI module. 5B 108 question directly from ICI module. 5C Ind AS 116 COVID-19 amendment question. Amendment question. So you can see there were some amendment question. There were some questions given on such amendment in the ICI revised study material. So they have clubbed uh, uh, they have clubbed some question and make one question for that. It is also super easy question, modified question you can see. Question number 6 say Ind AS study for production overhead. Once again newly inserted question in ICI revised study material of May 21. Correct. That question has been given. Question number 6b, Ind AS 32 compound financial instrument super easy question. I will see very simple question. Question number 6c, Ind AS 102 cancellation question. I used to say that in share based payment only one question has not been asked in ICA exam, that is cancellation, and now in this exam they have asked also that question cancellation, which was included in my expected question also. So this was also asked in exam, which is directly from ICA module. Correct. With I will say only the name and number has been changed. Question number 6d, Ind AS 103 recognition of intangible assets super easy question, directly taken from ICA model, already asked in previous attempt also. That question is also asked. You can see out of 120 marks, 85 marks question were from my expected question, which is given 2 months before the exam. 85 marks question, either directly or with some modification, 85 marks question where from expected means if you have done before exam only my expected question paper, you might have scored very good marks. From my point of view, questions were very easy, questions were known to everyone, yes, but you might have taken more time in writing the answer if you are lack of practice, or if you, I will say, when you see a very simple question paper you become overexcited and you prone to write more in that question. So if you have taken more time in chain holding or what analysis of financial statement question, then it might happen you have missed some question. You have missed some question means you have not attempted full. Correct now. It might happen. But from my point of view, if you are up to the mark, the question paper was not lengthy. If you are overexcited in writing, so it might happen you have left some question. Correct now. But then also, if considering the lengthy part, because my student have informed me that yes, the question paper was lengthy from student point of view, then also I, from my point of view, you can easily attempt in the given time frame 90 to 95 marks question paper, you can easily attempt. Correct. Yes sir. So all the questions were from ICA module, correct, directly, and most of the questions were from my expected list. Correct. Yes sir. So this was the analysis, a brief analysis of July 2021 exam paper. Now coming to the suggested solution. I have already drafted a suggested solution of the paper. Give me 1 minute. Yes. So I have already drafted the suggested solution by me. Correct. Of course, you can download a PDF from my app or from my website, for which the link will be given in the description of the video. Correct now. So I have already drafted. This is my suggestion by Chiranjeev sir. Correct. Yes sir. Now let us discuss the paper. Let us discuss in brief time. Yes sir. So coming to the question paper, you can see question number 1A. Question number 1A. Given below are the balance sheet of a group of companies of LX and MX and NX Limited on 31st March 2021. You can see 3 companies are given. This is a question of chain holding. LX Limited hold 85% in MX Limited, which were acquired on 1st April 2020. It means there is no time adjustment. And MX Limited holds 60% shares in NX Limited, which were acquired on 30th September. So there is a time adjustment. Yes, sir. The following balances stood in the books of MX Limited and NX Limited as on 1st April 2020. Of course, this will be given. Reserve and retained earning balance has been given. The business activities of NX Limited are not seasonal in nature. Why they have given about NX Limited? Because there is time adjustment. It is non-seasonal, so we can assume that the profit are uniformly earned throughout the year. The parent company had adopted an accounting policy to measure NCI at fair value, applying Ind AS 103. So NCI will measure at fair value. The fair value to determine a quoted market price. The given market price of MX is 120 per share, NX is 125 per share. Prepare the consolidated balance sheet. Group companies. So yes, consolidated balance sheet they have asked. So when they ask only consolidated balance sheet, so if you have given notes to account also, you might have taken more time to this. So I have already said in class that if the time permit, then only give notes to account. However, this was very simple question. For 16 marks, it was a very simple question without any adjustment. Let us come to the solution. Which is already prepared by me. So of course, the working note number 1 will be statement net asset. But before that, you need to find out the proportion of NCI. So you can see calculation of effective interest in LX in NX Limited. LX in NX Limited. So acquisition by LX in MX is 85%. Acquisition by MX in NX is 60%. So acquisition by group means group in NX Limited will be 85% of 60%, that is coming 51%. So NCI will be 100 minus 51. So what is the parent company, what is the NCI? What is the NCI in NX Limited from group company's point of view will be 100 minus 51, that is 49%. Then we'll prepare statement of net asset of MX Limited, because MX Limited there is no time adjustment. You can add on date of acquisition, then post acquisition profit, then the date of consolidation. There are two reserve given. One is reserve, another is for retained earnings. Share capital of course will come, then reserve will come. So you can see opening balance and closing balance we have written, and the difference is 50, that will be post acquisition. Retained earning 480 and 600, difference is 120. So INA will be this, and this will be the post acquisition profit, which will be distributed to parent company NCI as per 85% and 25% it has been allocated. Super easy. Then coming to NX Limited, you can see their post is 6 months. Of course time adjustment is required, but there is no adjustment given the question. There is no adjustment of final dividend paid, abnormal item, etc. Correct? Yes sir. You can see the date of acquisition is 30th September. So 6 month time adjustment is there. Share capital is given. Yes sir. Reserve is given. Opening balance is this. Then increase during the year is what? Closing balance minus opening balance, that is coming 60. So that 60 will be allocated to pre and post as per time, as per the time ratio, that is 30 and 30 that I have allocated. Yes sir. So we retain earning opening balance I have written, and the difference will what? The difference between closing balance and opening balance is what? 160. The difference between closing balance and opening balance is 160. Correct? Now you can, means what I am saying, just try to understand what is the closing balance, that is 310. 310. So 310 minus 150 is what? 310 minus 150 is what? 160, and 160 is allocated to pre and post as per 6 month and 6 month. This is the total on the date of acquisition. So this become fair value of INA on the date of acquisition, because there is no adjustment for fair value has been given. This is the post acquisition profit which will be allocated to LX and NCI as per what? As per the ratio. The ratio of NCI is 49%. The parent company share will be 51%. I hope you have understood this point. Correct now. Then we'll do calculation of goodwill or gain on bargain purchase for MX Limited, means for acquisition of MX Limited and then acquisition of NX Limited. Correct. So investment or consideration, whatever you can say, so that is given directly. We have taken this from balance sheet 2620, and this will be 85% of consideration paid. 85% because the investment was because parent company has invested in MX 85%. So out of the total investment done by MX Limited in NX Limited, 85% belong to what? Parent company. So we have done 85% of 1350. Yes sir. Then NCI at fair value, we need to calculate number of shares multiplied by NCI share multiplied by market price. So number of shares, NCI share and market price. This become NCI share. Similarly, number of shares, NCI share and market price. This become NCI, fair value of NCI. Correct. Then from this we'll deduct fair value of INA, that is already from a statement of net asset that we have deducted. This will be gain on bargain purchase. This is also gain on bargain purchase. The total gain on bargain purchase which will be transferred to capital reserve will be 512.5. Yes sir. Then calculation of NCI will do MX and NX. So of course we have taken at fair value. Then we'll transfer post acquisition profit, that is reserve and retained earning, from the working note of statement of net asset that has been transferred. Then we'll also deduct NCI share of investment NX Limited. Means you have taken only what? 85%. So 15% deducted from what? MX share. Correct. Now 15% of 1350 has been deducted. I have said in my class that whenever fair value method is adopted, so actually this is not correct, but we are following ICI suggested solution. We are following ICI suggested solution. Correct. Why it is not correct? For that already I have given a recorded class in my YouTube channel. You can watch that. Correct. Now, so my student know that this is actually not correct, but we are following ICI solution. NCI share of investment NX Limited. Yes sir. So this become what? Total NCI. Total NCI will be 1216.9. Correct. Yes sir. Then calculation of what? Consolidated other equity. So of course reserve, retained earning, this we have taken from the balance sheet of parent company. Then share in MX Limited will come, share in NX Limited will come from what? from statement of net asset to this become, and then we can prepare consolidated balance sheet. In consolidated balance sheet only you need to do plus plus plus. Only one point is there. Just try to understand. Only one point will be there. What is that point? That you need to, there was one bills receivable in the question. You can see bills receivable, you can see bills receivable 650 and 60, and there is a bills payable only 55 because no information has been given. So we'll assume that out of 60, because this is bills payable to MX Limited, so we can understand that this out of this total bills receivable, the cancellation which is related to group company is 55. Therefore we cancel 55. So your bills receivable will become 650 plus 60 minus 55. That is understood, correct? There is no other adjustment. I hope you have understood this question. Let us come to the second question. Can we come to the second question? What was the second question? Let's see. Second question was based on Ind AS 1, that is classification of current and non-current. Charm Limited is a manufacturing company which is into manufacturing of wires and cable and has assets. Its operating cycle to be 15 months. The company has some trade receivable which are receivable within a period of 12 months from the reporting date. Okay. With respect to the following transaction which took place during the financial year 2021, give your opinion based on relevant Ind AS. So of course, relevant Ind AS will be Ind AS 1. This is a question of only 4 marks, and they have given what 4 points. So in this, if you have written the definition of current asset and current liability, so you have wasted your time, because 4 marks you can directly write down yes no by giving a reasoning with one sentence only. From my point of view, correct? Yes sir. So company, first point, the company has received a contract of 10 crore on 31st March 2021. The terms of contract require the company to make a security deposit of 20% of contract value with the customer. Correct? Now with the customer, the company made a security deposit of 2 crore on 31st March 2021. This contract will be completed in 14 months. 14 months means it will be completed within 14 months, means within operating cycle, correct? 70% deposit will be refunded immediately, means 70% will be refunded within operating cycle, and balance 30% of the deposit will be refunded after 3 months from the completion of contract, means after operating cycle, correct? Yes sir. Correct. The company want to present a security deposit to 2 crore as non-current, which is not correct. Yes, sir. So 70% will be current and 30% will be non-current. That is the correct classification. Is the management decision is correct? The answer is no. The management decision is not correct. The second point, the company has some trade receivable that are due after 40 months from the date of balance sheet. The management of the company expect to receive the amount within a period of operating cycle. So they are expecting it to receive within the period of operating cycle. Despite the fact that is a receivable within 40 months, the management would like to present this as current. So of course, yes, it is correct. The management can classify it as current. Why it can classify it as current? Because they are expected, this receivable is expected to be received within operating cycle, within company's normal operating cycle. So this will be a current item. As per Ind AS 1, even though it is current, but how much amount is receivable within 12 months and how much amount is receivable after 12 months from reporting date, that need to be presented as a disclosure. Yes sir. The next point, in the normal course of business, the company has given 2 contract and received a total security deposit of 4 crore. 3 crore is received from X Limited and 1 crore is received from Y Limited. So they have received, it become a liability. Yes sir. These are repayable on completion of contract. However, if the contract is cancelled within the contract term of 18 months, then this deposit become payable immediately. The company is positive about the contract with the X Limited, but is in doubt about the contract received from Y Limited. The company want to present the amount of 3 crore as non-current and 1 crore as what? Current in the balance sheet. Is the management decision is correct? So as per current liability definition, if the entity has an unconditional right, if the entity does not have any unconditional right to defer the settlement of liability beyond what? Beyond what? 12 months, then it will be considered as what? Current liability. So in this case, can I say if the contract is cancelled, it can be demanded immediately. Therefore, this will be classified as current. Even though just try to understand, because in the current liability definition, what is given in the current liability definition, what is given? Key the it is it is due to be settled, it is due to be settled. In this there is nothing about what expectation, there is nothing about expectation. But there is point number 4, we say that if it is repayable on demand in any situation, and there is an unconditional right, there is an unconditional right, correct now. So if the contract is cancelled, it can be demanded, therefore it will be, sorry, it is repayable on demand. It is repayable on demand means whenever contract is cancelled, they have a liability to pay, they have an obligation to pay, therefore it will be classified as current. So entire liability will be classified as current. Understood? Yes sir, understood. Point number D, the company is planning to replace the machinery. It has given an advance of rupees 1 crore for purchase of new machinery, which will be delivered in 6 months from the date of balance sheet. So can this become a capital advance for the purchase of machinery? So any capital advance for the purchase of machinery or capital item will be always classified as non-current. Will be always classified as non-current, even though the machinery will be delivered within 6 months. Correct now, it will be always classified as non-current. It has sold old machinery of 0.5 crore, the payment of which is due in 10 months from the date of balance sheet. The company want to present both these items as current since they will be settled within 12 months. So first means 1 crore is non-current and 0.5 crore because it is to be paid within 10 months from the reporting date, therefore it can be classified as current. It can be classified as current. So management is incorrect from the point of view of 1 crore but correct from the point of view of 0.5 crore. Understood? Yes sir, we have understood. Coming to the next question, 2a. Special Limited is a multinational entity that owns three properties. All the properties were purchased on 1st April 2020. The following details were furnished: property 1, property 2, property 3. Purchase price, estimated life, fair value is given. The company used property 1 and property 2 for the business purpose, means it will be classified as property, plant and equipment, and Ind AS 16 will be applicable. The company is exploring the opportunity to sell property 3 if it get reasonable consideration. Till the time it is not sold, the company has rented the property. So as per definition of investment property, it will be classified as investment property. It has adopted revaluation model for subsequent measurement of these property. 100% wrong. For investment property, they cannot adopt a revaluation model because Ind AS 40 does not permit a revaluation model. They are correct from the point of PP because Ind AS 16 permit revaluation model. The depreciation charge on straight line method. However, the company has not charged any depreciation on property 1 and property 3 for the current year since the fair value of property exceeds the carrying amount. This is 100% wrong because even though the fair value is more than what the carrying amount, then also depreciation need to be charged. Correct. The difference between the fair value and carrying amount has been recognized in SOPL. 100% wrong. It should be what? If there is an upward revaluation, it should be recognized in OCI as re-evaluation surplus. So this is also some mistake. I think this question is from analysis of financial statement. The property are shown under PP. This is also wrong because property 3 will be investment property. Analyze whether the accounting policy adopted by the company in relation to the given property are in accordance with Ind AS. If not, advise the correct treatment and present an extract of balance sheet for the year date. So of course they have asked only the extract of balance sheet, but in suggested solution I have given also extract of SOPL. From my point of view, for more clarification, I have given the extract of what? SOPL also, that was not required. To come to the solution once, you can see, come to the solution. Solution is where? Yes sir. Yes sir. To question number A, you can see the answer has been given with reference to Ind AS 1, Ind AS 16 and Ind AS 40. Property 1 and 2 will be property, plant and equipment. You can read this. Property 3 will be investment property. You can read the why it is what? Investment property. Yes sir. Then you can see Special Limited shall apply the same accounting policy, that is revaluation model or cost model, to entire class of property being property 1 and 2. It is also required to depreciate this property irrespective of the fact that fair value exceeds the carrying amount. The revaluation gains shall be recognized in OCI and accumulated in what? Revaluation surplus. There is no alternative of revaluation model in respect of property 3 being classified as investment property, and only cost model is permitted for subsequent measurement. However, Special Limited is required to disclose the fair value of property in notes to account as per Ind AS 40. Also, the property 3 shall be presented as separate line item as investment property. Therefore, the extract has been given. You can see property 1 and 2 has been disclosed as fair value, but depreciation will be charged. Means What is the carrying amount? Carrying amount is what? 7,50,000. It is 7,50,000. So you need to charge for depreciation on that. That is 75,000 is the depreciation. So 7,50,000 minus 75,000, that is 6,75,000. It is revalued at 8 lakh. So what is the revaluation gain? Revaluation gain is what? Revaluation gain is what? That is 1,25,000. This will be transferred to OCI as revaluation surplus. About property 2, it is 10,50,000. 10,50,000 divided by 15 करेंगे. 10,50,000 divided by 15, that is 70,000. So what is the carrying amount? Carrying amount is how much? Uh, Carrying amount will be 9,80,000, and you can see the revaluation amount is 9,50,000. So in this case there is a downward revaluation, so there is a loss of 30,000 which will be debited to PL. This will be debited to PL. It cannot be adjusted with this revaluation surplus. Yes sir. Then property 3, only cost model will be applied to. You can see 12 lakh is what? 12 lakh is what? The carrying amount divided by 15 करेंगे. Divide by 15, that is 80,000. 80,000, yes sir, yes sir. So it become 11 lakh 20,000. So this will become the carrying amount of property 3. I hope you have understood. Correct? Let's see what is the extract given. Now you will understand the extract. To, of course, 8 lakh 9 lakh 50,000, that you have understood. 8 lakh and 9 lakh 50,000, yes sir. Then you can see property 3 is at cost model 11 lakh 20,000. Then you can see revaluation reserve only of what? Property 1 is coming 1 lakh 25,000. You can see 1 lakh 25,000. Why it is only for property 1? Because for property 2 there is a loss. Loss will be debited to PL. Correct? This is the extract. I have also given what the statement of PL to depreciation of property 1, depreciation of property 2, depreciation of property 3, and payable loss of property 2 will also come. And OCI revaluation gain will come 1 lakh 25,000. Yes sir. Yes sir. Understood? Yes sir. We have understood. Come to the next question. Come to the next question, everyone. Point number B. GTM Limited has provided following for independent scenario. You are advised to respond to the queries mentioned at the end of each scenario. Support your answer with the relevant extract of applicable Ind AS. So this is a question of Ind AS 115, allocation of transaction price. Scenario 1. GTM Limited enters into a contract with a customer to sell product GTM in exchange of for rupees 1,90,000. GTM Limited will satisfy the performance obligation for each product at different point in time. GTM Limited regularly sell product G separately, and therefore the standalone selling price is directly observable. The standalone selling price of TM are not directly observable, so you need to estimate it. Because the standalone selling price of the product TM and M are not directly observable, the company has to estimate them. To estimate the standalone selling price, the company uses adjusted market assessment approach for product T and expected cost plus a margin approach for product M. I hope you remember Ind AS 115. In making this estimate, the company maximize the use of observable input. So they have given the standalone selling price. So can I say in this case determine the transaction price? So transaction price of 1,90,000 will be allocated in this ratio. Simple. Simple. I think nothing to be discussed. Very simple. It will be allocated in this ratio. Correct. You can see the solution has been given. Scenario 1, the contract include a discount of 10,000 because 2 lakh is the total. Check karo, 2 lakh is the total and the transaction price is 1,90,000. On the overall transaction is the 10,000, which would be allocated proportionately to all three performance obligations when allocating the transaction price using the relative standalone selling price method. Correct? Yes sir. So you can see I have allocated transaction price. You can refer the solution. Yes sir. Coming to the next scenario, GTM Limited regularly sells product GTM individually. The standalone selling price is given. Same information has been given. Yes sir. Same information has been given. Yes sir. But in addition, the company regularly sell product TMN together for rupees 1 lakh. So what they are saying, they sell TMN together with for rupees 1 lakh, and you can see 90,000 is what product G, so it become 1 lakh 90,000. So it can be understood from the facts given the question, the entire discount, because the total of this is 1 lakh 10,000, the entire discount will be allocated to product TNM. It is understood. The company entered into contract with another company to sell product GTM at rupees 1,90,000. GTM Limited will satisfy the performance obligation for each of the product at different point in time or product TNM at same point of time. So understood. Similar question we have done in the class. Determine the allocation of transaction price to product TNM. So what is given? Check करेंगे. The contract include a discount of 10,000 on the overall transaction which would be allocated. Yes sir. However, because the entity regularly sell product T and M for rupees 1 lakh and product G for rupees 90,000, it has evidence that entire discount should be allocated to the promise to transfer product T and M in accordance with Ind AS 115. Yes, sir. If the entity transfer control of product T and M at the same point in time, then the entity could as a particular matter account for the transfer of the product as a single performance obligation. Then there is no need to allocate, means it will be there is no need to allocate discount between T and M, and the entire 1 lakh can be recognized as revenue when the control is transferred together for T and M. Yes, sir, at a point of time. If the contract requires the entity to transfer the control of product T and M at different point in time, then allocation is required. Then the allocated amount of 1 lakh is individually allocated to promise for product T and product M on the basis of their standalone selling prices. You can see we have allocated on the basis of standalone selling prices 40,000, 6,000 will come, and that the revenue recognized at a point of time when product T is transferred, at a point of time when product M is transferred. Yes, sir. Coming to scenario C. Scenario 3. GTM Limited enter into contract with a customer to sell product GTM as described in scenario 2. The contract also include a promise to transfer product Hope. Hope means now they have added one more product Hope. The total consideration in the contract is 2,40,000. The standalone selling price of product Hope is highly variable because the company sells product Hope to different customer for a range of amount 40,000 to 65,000. So in this case, the product Hope standalone selling price will be calculated by applying residual approach. Determine the selling price of GTM Hope by using residual approach. It is given in the question also. So what is the answer? Simple. You can see the X can be sold at 90,000, Y and Z can be sold at 1 lakh, and total consider 2 lakh 40,000. You can see 50,000 will be the standalone selling price of product Hope, which is done by residual approach, and it will fall in the range also 40 to 65. Therefore, it can be considered as standalone selling price of what product Hope. Understood? Yes, sir. I hope you have understood. This is also very simple. Next point. Scenario 4. What is the question? The same fact as in scenario 3 to scenario 4, except the transaction price is now 2,25,000 instead of 2,40,000. If the transaction price will be now 2,25,000, so 2,25,000 minus 1,90,000 will be 35,000. You can see instead of 50,000, now it will be 35,000, which will not fall in the range given for the product Hope. Therefore, can is a residual approach cannot be adopted for the product Hope. Therefore, in this case, you need to write down one theoretical answer that for product Hope, you need to estimate the standalone selling price by using some other method and then allocate the entire transaction price in the ratio of their respective standalone selling prices. That is given in scenario 4. You can read the answer. I hope you have understood this also. Correct. Coming to the next question. Question number 3A. Seva Dairy Limited prepare financial statement to 31st March each year. On 1st April 2020, the company carried out the following transaction. Purchase of land 60 lakh. So purchase of land is the question of taken from Ind AS 41. So any land even though used for agriculture activity, Ind AS 16 will be applicable. Ind AS 16 will be applicable. Purchase 200 dairy cow, average age 2 years for rupees 20 lakh. Receive a non-refundable grant of 10 lakh toward the acquisition of cow. So any grant received for what biological asset other than beer plant, Ind AS 41 will be applicable. So for this also Ind AS 41 will be applicable. Correct. And can I say if this is non-refundable grant means without any condition, it will be transferred to PL immediately. Correct. Yes, sir. During the year ending 31st March 2021, the company on its dairy cow incurred 8.5 lakh to maintain their condition and 4.6 lakh for breeding the fee to a local farmer. Okay, breeding fee to a local farmer. On 1st October 2020, 120 calves were born. Yes, sir. Okay. There were no other changes in the number of animals during the year ended 31st March 2021. Shiva Dairy Limited had 3,200 liters of unsold milk in the inventory as on 31st March 2021. So milk, because it is a agriculture produce, will be measured at the point of harvesting as per Ind AS 41, that is at fair value less cost to sell, and that fair value less cost to sell will become cost price for the application of Ind AS 2. So can you see initially Ind AS 41 is only applicable for this also? Yes sir. And you can see now they have given the changes in the fair value land. So they have given changes in the fair value. So of course either we can opt for cost model or revaluation model as per Ind AS 16. Newborn, you can see they were born on 1st October, that is this. The newborn comes on 31st March is 2500. So this is price change. And 6 month old, because on 31st March they will become 6 months, so this will be physical change. So as per Ind AS 41, you need to also report, you need to also disclose how much fair value changes is due to price change and how much is due to physical change. I hope you remember. So your 2-year-old cow, initially it was 10,000. On 31st March it become what? 10,500. So this difference will be price change. And 3-year-old cow, because at year end become 3 year. So this difference will be what? Physical change. Yes sir. Yes sir. Milk will take 30. Milk will take 30 because this was unsold inventory on 31st March. So it has been assumed that it was harvested also on 31st March. Harvested also on 31st March. Prepare the extract from the balance sheet assuming land under cost method. Okay sir. And SOPL that would be reflected in the financial statement for the year ended 31st March 2021. Discuss the relevant Ind AS in support of your working. If you need to also refer the relevant Ind AS, already I have referred, correct. Answer is very simple, already given. You can refer the solution. I think it will be easily understood. So changes in the fair value of purchase cow, I have done one working note. So you can see increase in the price 200 into 500, that is 1 lakh. Increase in the physical change 200 into 500, that is 1 lakh. The total difference will be 2 lakh, that is fair value gain. Similarly, grant will be recognized as an income as per Ind AS 41. Carbs also you can see initially, because carbs there is no cost price. So whatever fair value less cost to sale on the date of initial recognition will be what? A gain only? Yes sir. So you can see the total fair value gain on 31st March. The total fair value on 31st March will become fair value gain. 2,800 into 120, that is 3,36,000. Of course you can disclose how much due to price and how much due to physical change, that you can disclose. Milk, agriculture produce initially recognized on the same basis as biological asset. Thus the milk would be valued at itna, that is 3,200 liter into 30. This is regarded as cost for the future application of Ind AS 2 to the unsold milk. Yes sir, I hope. Land, we have adopted what? Cost model. So we are not recognizing any revaluation gain. So that is only given. I hope you can read the solution by your own. The very simple solution. You can see changes in the fair value of cow, government grant, changes in the fair value of newly born calves, fair value of milk. This become total income. This become total cost. This become net income. Land will come at cost, dairy cow will come at fair value less cost to sell, calves will come at fair value less cost to sell, milk will come at fair value less cost to sell. In this question, cost to sell is not given, therefore we have ignored that. We have ignored that. Understood? Yes, sir. We have understood. Correct? Acha, they have given fair value less cost to sell. My mistake. So therefore, separate information was not required for that. Yes, sir. Point number B. A Limited purchased an asset of rupees 200 lakh on 1st April 2007. It has a useful life of 4 years and no residual value. Recoverable amount is and itna respectively. Calculate amount of impairment loss or its reversal if any on itna. Depreciation provided on SLM basis under cost method. Yes sir, because they have not adopted revaluation model, so of course we need to apply cost model only. Yes sir. So what is the answer? Answer is very simple, super easy question I will say. Means you are not supposed to waste time in this type of question. Means I don't understand, because directly all the question were from study matter, you are knowing what to write. Therefore why you have taken more time? Because most of the students say that question paper was lengthy. Mostly the student says question paper was lengthy. That is because I will say because of lack of practice, or you have written more even though that was not required. Even though that was not required, that may be the reason. That may be the reason. But from my point of view, it was a super easy paper. It can be completed in what? 3 hours. It can be completed in 3 hours. Correct? Yes sir. So as on 31st March 2018, carrying amount is 200 lakhs. Depreciation divided by 4, it become what? Carrying amount. Recoverable amount 120 lakh. The impairment loss of 30 lakh will be recognized. 31st March 2019, once again carrying amount 120, 120 divided by 3 is depreciation, carrying amount become 80, recoverable amount is also 80, therefore no impairment loss, no reversal. As on 31st March 2020, carrying amount is 80, once again 80 divided by 2, 40 lakh is the depreciation, carrying amount is 40, and the recoverable amount is what? 56. So as per recoverable amount, the reversal amount can be what? Reversal amount can be what? 16 lakh. But can I say it will be restricted? It will be restricted as per previous impairment loss charge net of depreciation, net of saving in depreciation. I hope you remember. Means can I say after reversal of impairment loss, the carrying amount should not exceed the carrying amount as if they would have been no impairment loss charge. Correct now. So it should not exceed the carrying amount if previously no impairment loss has been charged. So since the recoverable amount of the asset exceeds the carrying amount of the asset by 16 lakh, impairment loss recognized earlier should be reversed. However, the reversal of an impairment loss should not exceed the carrying amount that would have been determined had no impairment loss has been recognized for the asset in prior year. Carrying amount as on 31st March had no impairment loss has been recognized would be 50 lakh. This comes how? This is what? 2 year is there, so 200, 3 year is there, so 200 minus 150 depreciation. So 50 is the carrying amount if no impairment loss would have was charged in previous year. Yes sir. Therefore the reversal will be what? That is actual carrying amount was 40. The carrying amount if there was no impairment loss, the maximum impairment loss reversal is 10 lakh. So that is only given. Therefore the reversal of impairment loss 10 lakh should be done on 31st March 2020. Simple, super easy question. Come to the next point. Point number C. SB Limited is engaged in the business of producing extract from the natural plant of pharmaceutical and Ayurvedic companies. It had a wholly owned subsidiary, UB Limited, which is engaged in the business of pharmaceutical. This question directly taken from India's 21 ICS study module question. UB Limited purchased the pharmaceutical extract from its parent company. The demand of UB Limited is very high and hence to cater is sought for. UB Limited also purchased the pharmaceutical extract from the other companies. Purchases are made at competitive prices. SB Limited sold pharmaceutical extract to UB Limited for euro 10 lakh on 1st Feb 2021. Means this become a foreign currency transaction for SB Limited. The cost of this extract were 775 lakh in the books of SB Limited at the time of sale. At the year end 31st March, all these pharmaceutical extract were lying as closing stock and payable with UB Limited. To of course in CFS we need to do some adjustment for cancellation of unrealized profit and cancellation of what? Intercompany owings. Yes sir. Euro is the functional currency of UB Limited while Indian rupee is the functional currency of SB Limited. Okay sir. Following is the information on 1st Feb exchange rate is this, on 31st March exchange rate is this. Provide accounting treatment of the above in the books of SB Limited and UB Limited. Also show its impact on the consolidated financial statement. Support your answer by journal entry wherever necessary. Assume NRV to be higher than cost. Okay sir, that is given in the question. Assume NRV to be higher than cost. Yes sir, we will assume that only even though nothing is given. Yes sir. So you can see accounting treatment in the books of SB Limited. SB Limited will initially recognize the sale at what? Transaction rate price, that is 10 lakh euro into 85, that is 850 lakh. Profit will be 850 into 850 minus cost of sale, that is 80 lakh. Correct. So 850 minus 770 is 80 lakh. Correct. Now on the balance sheet date, can I say there is what? The rate become 88. So there is a monetary item, that is receivable. So receivable will be translated at closing exchange rate, that is 88. So there is gain of what? 3 rupees per euro. So 3 into what? 10 lakh, that is 30 lakh will be exchange gain which will be transferred to PL. Correct. Journal entry was first journal entry for sale. UB Limited to sales. Yes sir. Yes sir. Then cost of sales will be recognized as an expense. So cost of means inventory sold will be recognized as an expense. So cost of sales to purchase the inventory. You can see the difference will be what? Profit on sale which will be automatically calculated in SOPL. 850 minus 770. Then we need to also recognize exchange gain. So that is what UB Limited means receivable account debit to foreign exchange difference, that is unrealized. Of course that is unrealized gain, that is 30. Understood? Yes sir. Now in the books of UB Limited, can I see UB Limited will pass only one journal entry for purchase journal entry. So UB Limited will recognize the inventory on 1st Feb 2001 at euro 10 lakh. At their funds the currency means what is the journal entry? Purchase account debit to what? Purchase account debit to SB Limited. Yes sir, and that is unsold, that will become inventory. So that is what? 10 lakh euro. Accounting treatment in consolidated financial statement, can I say receivable and payable in respect of above mentioned sale or purchase in SB and UB Limited will be eliminated. Means can I say because the foreign operation will be translated by using closing exchange rate. for the assets and liability. So there was one payable and there was one inventory, that is 10 lakh. This is 10 lakh into 88 into 88, you can see, so it become 880, it also become 880. I hope you are understanding correct. So this payable will match with this receivable, you can see this receivable 850 plus 30, and that will be cancelled. And this inventory will come at 880, but this inventory include unrealized profit of parent company, that should be eliminated, the closing stock of UB Limited will be recorded at 880 since NRV is more than cost, no write down is required. The amount of closing stock include unrealized profit element of 80 lakh profit. At the time of consolidation, the unrealized profit element amounting to rupees 80 lakh will be eliminated from the closing stock. So what journal entry will do? Sales will be eliminated, cost of sales will be eliminated from SOPL, and from balance sheet will, from inventory will also reduce what inventory by unrealized profit. This is journal entry. Or you can pass one single journal entry from the point of view examination, that consolidated retained earning account debit to inventory. That is also can be done, because in suggested solution given by ICI in the study material, they have given one journal entry retained earning या consolidated SOPL to inventory. But actually we need to pass this type of journal entry, because sales will be reduced by 850, cost of sales will be reduced by 770, and inventory will be reduced by 80. I hope you have understood. Have you understood this part? Yes sir, we have understood. This also you have understood. Next question 4A. 4A में आ जाते हैं. Soptech Limited has a policy of providing subsidized loan to its employee for the purpose of buying or construction of residential houses. This is same to same question given in ICS study material. I have also given as an expected question. Mrs. B is a senior manager in the company. The company granted loan to her on the following term: principal amount 25 lakh, interest rate 4% for the first 10 lakh, 7% for the next 15 lakh. Loan disbursed on 1st Jan 2019, tenure 5 year, prepayment full, a partial prepayment at the option of employee, means full or it can be prepaid also. The principal amount of loan shall be recovered in 5 equal installments and will be first applied to 7% interest bearing principal. Means first 15 lakh will be paid, then this 10 lakh will be paid. Yes sir. The accrued interest shall be paid on an annual basis. Mrs. B must remain in service till the term of loan, and the market price of a comparable loan is 12%. The discounting need to be done at 12%. Give a calculation as per this what? Discounting factor. Okay sir, we'll take this discounting factor. Nothing to worry. Yes sir. Then they have given following table shows the contractually expected cash flow. You can see they have given one expected cash flow. So this can be worked out even though it is not given. We can see principal amount 5 lakh, 5 lakh, 5 lakh, 5 lakh, 5 lakh. Then interest will be first on 15 lakh at a rate of 7% and 10 lakh at a rate of 4%. Then out of 15 lakh, 5 lakh is repaid. So 10 lakh into 7%. This is 10 lakh into 4%. Then 5 lakh into 7%. This is 10 lakh into 4%. Then this is 10 lakh into 4%. This is 5 lakh into 4%. I hope you have understood this point. Yes, sir. Correct. Mr. B prepays 5 lakh on 31st December 2020. Means second year only. Yes, sir. Reducing the outstanding principal as on the date is 10 lakh. Yes, sir. Okay. Following table shows the actual cash flow from the loan given to Mr. B considering the prepayment even as on 31st December 2020. So can I say actual position क्या हुआ कि on 31st December 2020 they have paid 10 lakh. Interest will remain same 70 and 40, but for the next 2 years 5 lakh 5 lakh interest will be 40,000 and 20,000. I hope you have understood this point. Correct now? Yes sir, yes sir. Correct. Means whenever there is a prepayment tokenization, we need to recompute the carrying amount by taking the present value of remaining contracts or cash flow. Means we need to revise our amortized cost whenever there is a prepayment. Correct now? So in that case that revision is required, and any adjustment will be done with what? Either PL or with some asset which we have already recognized. So in this question, because there is a condition that they need to remain till the loan is paid, therefore any difference between fair value loan and transaction price will be recognized as what? Prepaid expense, prepaid employee benefit expense. I hope you have understood. Correct? Yes sir. What is the answer? Record journal entries. Okay, in the books considering the requirement of Ind AS 109, so they have asked journal entry, so we have also given the journal entry. Check करेंगे. What is the answer? So as per the requirement of Ind AS 109, you can see we have calculated fair value of liability. So you can see 5 lakh, this 5 lakh plus 1 lakh 5,000 plus 40,000 discounted at the discounting factor we have done. So this become fair value of liability. Now this minus total transaction price, that is what total transaction price is what 25 lakh. The difference will come 3 lakh 90,284, which will be considered as a part of employee cost, and this will be considered as prepaid employee cost, correct now, which will be amortized to PL till employee repay the entire amount. Yes sir, yes sir. The deemed employee cost will be amortized over the period of loan, that is the minimum period that Mr. B must remain in the services. Now amortization table is given. So of course opening balance of liability is this, then interest at a rate of 12%, then total cash outflow, total cash inflow will come. This will be closing balance, and this will be the amortization paper you are expecting this. You can easily calculate. Yes sir. Then journal entry, of course the first journal entry will be loan account debit, prepaid expense account debit to cash. So you can see loan account debit, prepaid expense account debit to cash. Then of course on 31st December 2019, first you recognize the payment. Payment has been done 6,45,000, out of which the interest is this element. This will be reduction of what? Loan, reduction of loan. The difference will be reduction of loan. So what journal entry is given? Cash account debit, interest income account debit to loan, and of course employee benefit expense will be recognized, which will be prepaid expense divided by 5 करेंगे तो this amount will come. Correct? Yes sir. Then second year also same journal entry will be done, whatever we have done. But in second year, what happened? There is some prepayment. There is some prepayment. So whenever there is a prepayment, so we need to calculate a new carrying amount of the loan in the employee as per the remaining contractual cash outflow, remaining expected contractual cash outflow. So remaining expected contractual cash outflow, principal amount will be 5 lakh, 5 lakh, interest will be 40,000, 20,000. Discounting will be done. This will be new carrying amount, and the current carrying value will be this. So this will be the adjustment required. This 4,17,317 is the adjustment required. Adjustment required. So out of 4,17,000 means how much is repaid? That is 5 lakh. Yes sir, I hope you are understanding this point. You can see what journal entry will do. Cash account debit is 5 lakh. So what is the adjustment to the loan? Loan adjustment will be this. Yes sir, yes sir. So loan adjustment will be this 417,317. So loan will reduce by 417,317, and difference will be adjusted to prepaid employee cost, means it will decrease the prepaid expense by 82,683. I hope you have understood this point. And then we need to once again calculate the amortization table, that already you can do it by your own. So this is new carrying amount, and for 2 years you will prepare amortization table, correct? Then amortization of employee benefit expense, so this is the initial amount, then amortized to PL, this is the adjustment required, this word. Then the balance, this 1,51,487, this will be now amortized for remaining 2 year, because the life of the loan is now revised to 2 year. Remaining life will be revised to 2 years. I hope you have understood. So this is divided by 2. So this will come this and this. Yes sir, yes sir. Then next you can pass journal entry by your own. I hope simple, super easy question. Yes sir, super easy question. Come to the next question. Point number B, Government of India provide a loan to MSME at a below market rate of interest to fund the setup of new manufacturing facility. Sukshma Limited, the date of transition to Ind AS is 1st April 2020. It means it is a question of Ind AS 101. In financial year 2014-15, the company had received a loan of 2 crore at a below market rate of interest from the government. Under Indian GAAP, the company had accounted for the loan as equity. This is totally wrong. Means as per previous GAAP, also it will never be recognized as equity, because this is the amount of loan, not it is not amount contributed by the government as an equity participant. So I will say either this is printing mistake, or I will say this is intentionally written. Correct now. So this should be a financial liability. This should be a financial liability as per previous GAAP also. And the carrying amount is 2 crore at the date of transition. Okay. Yes sir. The amount repayable is 2.5 crore. Okay. The company has advised to recognize the difference of 0.5 crore in equity by corresponding increase in the various asset under PP by an equivalent amount of proportionate basis. This is totally wrong. Means our previous GAAP never suggested this. So company had been advised to recognize. Till now they have not recognized that. Correct now. Yes sir. Yes sir. Further, on 31st March 2024, when the loan has to be repaid, rupees 2.50 crores should be presented as a deduction from PP. Means बोला कि एक बात what they have said कि the company has advised to recognize the difference in equity by corresponding increasing the value of PP. Means what journal entry they are suggesting if we should do PP, account debit to equity, and at the time of disbursement we'll do what, PP, account debit to cash, whatever, 0.5 crore means पहले increase करो, first increase then decrease, correct ना, बकवास journal entry. Discuss the above treatment and share your view as per applicable India. So can I say this is totally not correct as per the previous gap and as per India's also, as per previous gap as per India's also. So what, of course we need to apply the requirement of India's 101. So India's 20 state, what India's 20 says, that the benefit of government loan at below market rate of interest is treated as a government grant. The loans shall be recognized and measured in accordance with India's 109. The benefit of below market rate of interest shall be measured as a difference between initial carrying amount of loan determined in accordance with India's 109 and the proceed received. The benefit is accounted for in accordance with India's 20 means government grant. Either it will be transferred directly to PL or it can be treated as deferred income based on the nature of the grant. This is as per India's 20, correct? However, India's 101 state that a first time adopters shall classify all the government loan receive as a financial liability or equity instrument in accordance with India 32. So of course this is a financial liability, not equity instrument. Except as permitted by para B11, they have given some exception, except that a first time adopters shall apply the requirement of India's 109 and India's 20 uh, prospectively to the government loan existing at the date of transition to India's and shall not recognize the corresponding benefit to the government loan, means nothing will be transferred to government loan. Means can I say the on in opening India's balance sheet on the date of transition, the liability will be recognized as per carrying amount of previous gap and no government grant will be recognized. No government grant will be recognized, and that liability will be subsequently recognized, subsequently measured as per the requirement of India's 109, means 2 crore will be the initial and the future outflow is 2.5 crore. Yes sir. And they have not given what is the rate of interest, because they have not given what is the rate of interest. They have given what at below market rate of interest, but they have not given the rate of interest and they have not given the market rate of interest also. Current market rate of interest means on the date of transition what is the current market rate of interest, that is not given. But can I say we can compute the EIR, and based on that EIR we'll do the subsequent measurement. We'll do the subsequent measurement. Consequently, if the first time adopter did not under the previous gap recognize and measure a government loan at below market rate of interest on the basis consistent with India's requirement, it shall use the previous gap carrying amount of the loan at a date of transition to the India's as carrying amount of loan in the opening India's balance sheet, and the entity shall apply India's 109 to the measurement of such loan after the rate of transition to India's. In the given case, the Sukshma Limited shall measure the government loan at below market rate of interest as a financial liability of 2 crore in its opening India's balance sheet on the date of transition, that is 1st April 2020. Understood? Have you understood this point? Boliye. Yes sir, we have understood, correct. Then one more question has been given as a optional question, means either you can do this or you can do this. This is also very good question. Nice Limited is a company incorporated on 1st April 2019. The company has a net worth of 350 crore. Net worth of 350 crore. The business of the company was affected due to low demand of its product. The following financial data is available as on 31st March 2021. It means, can I say 2021 is the current year, 1920 is the previous year, and in the previous year only, at the beginning of the previous year only, the company has been incorporated. Yes sir, you can see they have given figures in crore, the information about previous year and information about current year. Net profit is 7.10 and 4.180 respectively. Turnover is 550 for the previous year and 1050 for current year. During the financial year 2021, the company has spent 55,000 per month for developing vocational skills of local youth. Of course, this expenditure is related to CSR activities, therefore it will be considered. Yes sir. The company has also provided its product at a considerable discount for the benefit of underprivileged, the cost of which to the company is 3,50,000. We know that if a company has given discount in the ordinary course of its business, that will not be considered as a CSR expenditure. But in this question, the discount has been given for the benefit of underprivileged. Therefore, this will be considered as what amount spent for CSR activity, the cost of which is what 3,50,000. So you can see what is the total CSR expenditure. It will be what 55,000 into 12 is equal to how much? Bata, 55,000 into 12 is equal to 6 lakh 60,000. Yes sir. and 3,50,000 is for the discount given for underprivileged, plus 3,50,000 become 10,10,000, 10,00,000, 10,000. Correct. One thing is clear that one thing is clear that uh, we need to first find out whether the company is applicable, company is eligible for CSR activities, yeah, CSR expenditure, CSR provision. So of course we need to refer three criteria has been given under section 135 of the Companies Act 2013. First, based on net worth, if net worth is more than or equal to 500 crore for the previous year, so of course this criteria is not satisfied. Then second is for turnover. Turnover is more than or equal to 1000 crore. So this criteria is not also satisfied. But and the net profit is more than or equal to 5 crore. So you can see this criteria is satisfied for previous year. Therefore, for current year, can I say this Nice Limited is eligible for CSR provision? Yes, sir, it is eligible. So you can see 10,10,000 is the amount spent. 10,10,000 is the amount spent. So this will be considered a CSR expenditure. But the can I say the amount to be spent is 2% of average profit of three preceding financial year, and if the company is incorporated in the previous year only, so we'll take the profit of previous year. Which profit? We need to take profit as per section 198 of Companies Act. The question is silent. We'll assume that 7.10 is nothing, that it is nothing but it is the profit as per section 198, means profit as per section 198 and the book profit are same. That assumption we need to take. I hope you are understanding. So we'll find out 2 crore. We'll find out 2% of 7.1 crore. 7.1 crore. So 7.1 into 2% is equal to 14,20,000. So amount to be spent is equal to 14,20,000. Yes, sir. And amount actually spent is 10,10,000. It means there is some unspent amount. What is the unspent amount? Bata 14,20,000 minus 10,10,000 is equal to 4,10,000 is the unspent amount. So if there is any unspent amount that need to be deposited in a specific fund. I hope you remember this point. Yes, sir. Correct. So what is given? Check करेंगे. The company want to carry forward its entire expenditure. Oh my god, entire expenditure to the next year, as it is of the opinion that it does not have to spend anything on its CSR activity during the current year. Can I say it is not correct? Company is not correct from this point of view. The company can carry forward, but company can carry forward only excess amount is spent. Excess, which is over and above 2% of average profit. Yeah, 2% of previous 2% of the profit if the company has been incorporated the company is incorporated within last 3 years. I hope you are understanding. Correct now. So of course this point is not correct. So we need to give opinion on this. Yes, sir. Comment on the company's applicability under CSR as per section 135 of the Companies Act for the financial year 2021. Does it have any obligation to transfer any amount to any fund? Yes, already we calculated. They have an obligation to transfer how much amount? That is 4,10,000. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What is the answer given? Let us see. Answer. Let's see what I have drafted. So what they given as per section 135 of the Companies Act, every company having either net worth of 500 crore more or turnover of 1000 crore more or a net profit of 5 crore or more during the immediate preceding financial year shall constitute a committee that as per the criteria. You can see point number 3 satisfied, hence the company will be required to form CSR committee for the year 2021. Accordingly, CSR provision is applicable to Nice Limited. Correct. Then section 135 of the Companies Act requires that the board of every eligible company shall ensure the company spend in every financial year at least 2% of average net profit of company made during the three immediately preceding financial year, or where the company has not completed a period of 3 financial years since its incorporation during such immediately preceding financial year. I hope you understood. So company want to carry forward the entire amount spent, which is 10,10,000, which is not correct. So as per the current law, carry forward of excess amount over 2% of average profit will be allowed if the company had decided to adjust such expenditure with future obligation. Correct. But in this case, can I say there is no extra amount is spent, there is unspent amount. So let us calculate the excess amount or unspent amount required to spend is 14,20,000. Amount actually spent 10,10,000. Unspent amount is 4,10,000. If the company failed to spend such amount, the board shall in its report specify the reason for not spending the amount and transfer such unspent amount to a fund specified in Schedule 7 within a period of 6 months of the expiry of financial year. So that you need to consider. Yes, sir. Hence, in the given case, the company has an obligation to transfer 4,10,000 to the specific fund. Correct? Yes, sir. Understood. Yes, sir. Understood. Come to the next question. Correct. Simple question. Yes, sir. Come to 5A. 5A. Very good question taken from EPS. This question is also directly from ICI study material. What they have given at 31st March 2019 also included in my expected question. This question was taken as an expected and this question has been asked. At 31st March 2019, the issued share capital of SB Limited consisted of of 20 lakh ordinary shares of rupees 1 each. So 20 lakh is the number of shares. Yes, sir. On 1st July 2019 means during the year the company issued 25 lakh 8% convertible loan for cash at par. Each rupees 100 nominal value of loan stock may be converted at any time during the year 2024 to 2027 into numbers of ordinary shares set out below. 31st March 2004 itna, 25 itna, 26 itna, 27 itna. If the loan is not converted by 2027, they would be redeemed at par. Okay, sir. Yes, sir. It is assumed that a return equity conversion option is accounted for as a derivative liability. Means in this question they have accounted the conversion option as a derivative liability. So whenever it is a derivative liability, we need to find out changes in the fair value of derivative liability at each year end, and it will be accounted as FBTPL. Any gain or loss will be transferred to PL. And mark to market through PL. Of course, the changes in the options fair value reported on 31st March 2020 and 31st March 2021 amounted to losses of rupees 5,000 and 5,300 respectively. Further, it is assumed that there is no tax consequences arising from these losses. So there is no tax consequences means, can I say, it is an item of permanent difference. Therefore, we should not calculate any deferred tax on this. So there is no tax consequences. So as per Indians to have, no deferred tax will be calculated on this. Of course, I hope you are understanding. Correct. The profit before tax, the profit before interest, fair value movement and taxation for the year ended 31st March 2020 and 21 amounted to rupees itna and itna respectively and relate wholly to the continuing operation. Okay, sir. That rate of tax for both the period is 33%. Okay, sir. Calculate basic and diluted earning per share. Very simple. Correct. I hope this is super simple question. Let us do it. So what I have taken, I have first, we need to calculate EPS for both the year 31st March 2021 and 31st March 2020. Profit given is 17 lakh 90 and 16 lakh 50. From this first we'll deduct interest for the first year means 31st March 2020 will be from which date? What is the date of allotment? Yeah, date of issue is what? How much? It is what is given, it is 1st July. 1st July means 9-month interest will be calculated. Yes, sir, 9-month interest will be calculated. You can see for 2020 we have calculated interest on for 9 months. So you can see what is the total amount. Total amount is 25 lakh. 25 lakh ka 8% is how much? It is 2 lakh only. So 2 lakh we have the 9 by 12, which is 1 lakh 50,000, and for the current year it is 2 lakh. Means for the current year means 31st March 2021 it is 2 lakh. Then changes in the fair value of embedded option, you can see 5,300 and 5,000. We have considered that information is given directly in the question. This become profit before tax. Now we'll do tax expense. Current tax. Current tax will be on A minus B only because C there is no tax consequences. Yes, sir. So A minus B will do 17 lakh 90 minus 2 lakh and 16 lakh 50 minus 1 lakh 50,000. On that tax will be calculated. So taxation at a rate of 33%. A minus B may we have calculated tax. Why we have not considered C? Because that for that there is no tax consequences it is given. Calculation of basic earning per profit after tax will be calculated. Then we'll calculate basic earning per share means this profit divided by number of shares. Number of shares given 20 lakh. So you can see this profit divided by number of shares. This will be earning per share. Simple. Then calculation of diluted earning per share. First we need to do the test of dilution means we need to find out whether convertible loan are dilutive potential equity share or anti-dilutive potential equity share. For that we need to find out incremental EPS. Yes, sir. So if you want to find out incremental EPS, what we need to do? Can I say what is the increase? What is the increase in the numerator? Numerator means net profit due to conversion of loan, due to conversion of the convertible loan into equity shares. Yes, sir. So that is how many equity shares will be given. I hope you are understanding. So you can see 20. First we'll take what is the number of shares which will increase. Correct. 1 minute. Number of shares will increase. So they have given how much? It is 25 lakh. This is 25 lakh. Yes, sir. 25 lakh. and they have said each rupees 100 nominal value of loan stock may be converted at any time during 24/27. So you can see if it is converted in 24 135, 25 130, 26 125 and 27 120. So we'll always calculate the worst EPS. For the worst EPS, we'll take the maximum number of shares. So maximum number of shares which can be converted is 135. 135. So it means the number of shares will increase by what? It will be 25 lakh. 25 lakh divided by 100 into 135. Yes sir. So 25 lakh divided by 100 into 135 is equal to 33 lakh 75,000. Correct. And for the current year, it is what will be the effect in numerator? So can you see it is 2 lakh and 5,300? Yes sir. So 2 lakh means numerator will increase net of tax. So 2 lakh into will do net of tax 67% plus what is there? 5,300. 5,300 will take 5,300. And because why we have not done net of tax in 5,300? Because there is no tax consequences on that. Yes sir. And this will be 33 lakh 75,000. I hope you are understanding. So this is how much? 2 lakh into 67%, that is 1 lakh 34,000. 1 lakh 34,000 plus 5,300 divided by 33 lakh 75,000. Yes sir. So this is how much? 1 lakh 34,000 plus 5,300 divided by 33 lakh 75,000. You can see it is what? 0.0412. 0.0412. Yes sir. I hope you are understanding. Correct now. Are you able to understand whatever I am saying? Yes sir. You can see this is nothing but around 4 paise. Means you can see this is nothing but 4 paise. So of course this 4 paise will be considered as, means this will dilute your basic earning per share. So therefore the given potential equity share will be considered as potential equity share. That is only given there. Since the incremental EPS is 4 paise, as the incremental EPS is less than basic earning per share. What is the basic earning per share? 53 paise. And incremental EPS is less than basic earning per share. Therefore, it will be considered as what? Dilutive potential equity shares, and therefore it will be considered for sorry, diluted earning per share. Sorry. Yes sir, I hope you have understood. Then we'll calculate adjusted earning. Already we calculated this part. This will be added to the net profit which you have taken for basic earning per share. So net profit taken for basic earning per share, this we have added interest net of tax. Then we have added changes in the fair value of embedded option. This will be adjusted earning. Correct? Yes sir, I hope you have understood. Similarly, for we need to also calculate adjusted number of equity shares. For that we need to add what? A number of equity shares which will be converted due to number of equity shares which will be converted due to conversion option. Yes sir. So for the previous year, can I say we'll do weightage means 33 lakh 75,000. We'll do 9 by 12 weight. So you can see 33 lakh 75,000 into 9 by 12 have been considered. For the current year, no weight has been considered. Means weight will be considered. That is from the beginning. 12 by 12 will take. Yes sir. This will become adjusted number of shares. Then this will do what? Net profit divided by this, so we'll get what? Diluted earning per share. Super easy question. I hope you have understood. Yes sir, we have understood. Yes sir. Can we come to the next question? Yes sir, we can come to the next question. 5A done. Come to 5B. Super easy question. Question taken from India's 108. Already asked in previous examinations. Same to same question. 1 second have been given. In this question, it is also a question of ICI study material. Correct? Yes sir. U Limited is operating in paint industries. Business segment comprises paints and others. Correct. Certain information for the financial year 2021 is given below. Segment, paint, other, external revenue, including GST. If you remember, in the ICS study material question, in the question it was given external revenue, but nothing was given about inclusive or exclusive GST. So I have given a note that either you can assume inclusive or exclusive. Then I have said because ICA has assumed inclusive, therefore we should also assume inclusive. But in this question they have mentioned that point, this external sale is inclusive of GST. So of course while we report external sale, then that revenue should be exclusive of GST. So 10,000 minus 250 will do. Yes sir. 3,500 minus 150 will do. Yes sir. Other operating income, can I say other operating income is not a part of revenue, therefore separate disclosure of other operating income is not required. They have given segment reserve, they have given segment asset, they have given segment liability. Yes sir. Additional information, unallocated income net of expense, so this is required for reconciliation purpose. Interest and bank charges required for reconciliation purpose. Income tax expense required for reconciliation purpose. Unallocated investment and other asset required for reconciliation purpose. Unallocated liability, reserve and surplus share capital required for reconciliation purpose. Depreciation and capital expenditure given, to this information need to be also disclosed. Revenue from outside India and segment asset outside India, this is also required, because with the information of product we need to also disclose the three information about geographical location. I hope you remember. Three information means segment external revenue, segment asset and segment capital expenditure. Yes sir. Based on above information, how you limited to disclose information about reportable segment revenue, profit and loss, assets and liability, another financial year. Ignore corresponding figure for the previous year. Of course, if previous information is not given, we need to ignore it only. Correct? Yes, sir. Very simple question. I think I'm not supposed to read the solution, but let me read what I have done in the solution. Yes, sir. So you can see, first we need to disclose segment information. Information about operating segment. There are two operating segment. One is related to pent, another pent comprising these, other comprising these. So this is given in the question. We have only done copy pasting of this. Yes sir. Segment revenue result and other information. So of course we disclose about pent segment, another segment, and total for reconciliation. So first external sale, you can see it is given in the question, then minus GST it is given in the question, this become external sale. And because there is no inter-segment sale, is given, therefore there is no need to add that. So this external sale become total revenue, and no reconciliation required because there is no inter-segment sale. Yes sir. Then result, they have given segment result. You know, segment reserve means segment income minus segment expense. When I say segment income, so segment income will be of course inclusive of operating income given segment wise. Yes sir. So when I am saying segment result means segment income minus segment expense. So segment income means segment revenue and segment other operating income. So that operating income is already considered to calculate about segment result. If you have some doubt, please write a note that we have assumed this, or you may of course take some other assumption, but can I say that other assumption you might be wrong as per ICS solution. I have already informed you in the class. So there was a lot of doubt about this operating. There was a lot of doubt about this what other operating income. To calculate segment result, if you want to write down, this means segment income minus segment expense. So segment income means what? Segment revenue plus segment other operating income. So of course this segment result, while calculating segment result, this operating income is already considered. Therefore this other operating income is bakwas information. This is not at all relevant for this question. I hope you have understood. Yes sir, we have understood. Correct. Then of course we'll do reconciliation. For that we'll add unallocated income net of unallocated expenses, then we'll less interest and bank charges, then we will do adjustment for exceptional item, but exceptional item is not given. Then income tax, current tax and deferred tax, this become profit after tax, which will reconcile with SOPL. Yes sir. Then we need to also disclose other information. Other information means about segment assets, segment liability, capital expenditure and depreciation. Yes sir. Segment asset, you can see segment asset is given. Correct. Then we need to do reconciliation. Investment has been given, unallocated asset has been given. This will be the total asset which will reconcile with the balance sheet information. Then liabilities and shareholders fund, of course segment liability is given. You can see this has been taken from the question. With this question is nothing but the information taken from the question and putting in the answer and making one report. I hope you understood. Super easy question for what? 8 marks. Yes sir. Yes sir. Then unallocated liability is given, shares capital is given, reserve and surplus is given. This total liability, total equity and liability of course should match with total asset and with balance sheet. Of course reconciliation is also done. Then other information, capital expenditure is given, depreciation has been given. For this reconciliation is not required. Then geographical information in India, outside India. So they have given outside India. You can see they have given external sale outside India, segment asset outside India, capital expenditure they have not given. So of course we need to take nil. Then this total we can take from the above information. You can see total segment revenue is how much? 13,100 that we have taken. Then total segment asset is given 4,000 that we have taken. Yes, sir. And total capital expenditure has been taken from above information. So this can be worked out as balance sheet figures. Super easy question. I hope everyone have done correct for this correct, provided you have not done simple calculation mistake plus minus, or sometimes we put wrong amount. We have taken wrong amount from the question. That is dangerous from examination point of view. Already I have said sometimes easy question now we become very much happy, and in happy situation we do sometimes mistake. I hope you are understanding whatever I am saying. Come to the next question. Point number C. Good question taken from amendment, that is Ind AS 116 COVID-19 wala amendment wala point. Correct. So what they said, TED enter into a lease contract with the lessor to lease 2,000 square meter of retail space for 5 years. The rental are payable monthly in advance. The lease commences on 1st April 2019 in the year 2020. As a direct consequences of COVID-19 pandemic, TED has negotiated with the lessor, which may result in the following situation. So they have given one situation, first situation, second situation, third situation. We'll read this. Analyze the given situation in the light of Ind AS 116 and comment on whether rent concession or deferral is eligible for practical expedient. So can I say for this para 46A and 46B, B is applicable. Para 46 says that whatever rent deferral or rent concession has been given, that should be that should be due to direct consequences of COVID-19. That is already given that this deferral is due to direct consequences of COVID-19 pandemic. The first condition is satisfied. Then in para 46B they have given three conditions. First condition is what? That revised consideration is substantially same or less than the original consideration. Correct. Then second condition is what? That rent concession affect the lease payment which was originally due on or before 30th June 2021. 30th June 2021. I hope you remember this point. Last condition was what? There is no substantive change to the other terms and condition of lease. I hope you remember these 3 points. Correct. Now let us come to the first situation. Lessor agree a rent concession under which the monthly rent will be reduced by 30% per month for the 12 month commencing on 1st October 2021. So 12 month means 1st October 2020 to 30th September 2021. So can you see it will affect the rent which was originally due on or before 30th, means this will affect the rent beyond 30th June 2021. 30th June 2021. So, can a second condition of para 46B is not satisfied, therefore practical expedient will not be available. Yes, sir. I hope you have understood. Come to the second situation. TED is granted a rent concession by the lessor whereby the lease payment for the period October 2020 to December 2020 are deferred. Are deferred means, of course, this will be recovered in some other period. Yes, sir. 3 months are added to the end of lease term at the same month entry. So in this case, the first condition will be satisfied because the deferment, can I say, it means revised consideration will be substantially same as the original consideration, and can I say here rent concession will not affect any lease payment which are originally due on or before 30th June 2021 because it is from for the period October 2020 to December 2020. But the last point what they have given, 3 months are added to the end of lease term. 3 months are added. Now the question is that whether the addition of 3 months with the same rent will be considered as substantive change, means whether it will amount to substantial change in the original terms of lease. So of course, it is a matter of judgment because the substantive word has not been defined under Ind AS 116. So it is a matter of judgment. So you can give two answers in this. If the lessee has concluded that it is not a substantive change, then practical expedient will be available. Correct? Yes, sir. And if the lessee conclude that this will amount to substantive change, then then practical expedient will not be available and they need to follow modification accounting. Yes, sir. But can I say 3 months are added to the end of lease term? 3 months is added. This is, of course, from the question we can understand, from the emotion of the question we can understand this is not a substantive change. This is not a substantive change. Therefore, I will say the best answer will be what? If practical expedient will be available. Yes, sir. The lessor offer, point number 3 means situation number 3, lessor offer to reduce monthly rent by 50% for the month October 2020 to March 2021. So of course, this will also not affect any lease payment beyond 30th June 2021. The second condition is satisfied, and of course the revised consideration is the less than original consideration because here they want to reduce. But what is the third point? On the condition that its space is reduced from 2000 square meter to 1500 square meter, means whatever rent concession has been given, whatever rent concession has been given, that is on the condition that they need to forfeit some space, means they need to reduce the space by 500 square meter. So of course, can I say it can be considered substantive change. So if the lessee conclude that this amount to a substantive change, then practical expedient will not be available and they need to follow modification accounting. I hope you are understanding. Yes, sir. So answer is given for this. What is given? Situation number A, you can see I've written that TED is not permitted to apply practical expedient. I hope you have understood. Situation number B, first condition satisfied, second condition satisfied, third there is a change in the lease term. What I have written, there is no explicit guidance on what is considered substantive. Judgment will need to be applied considering both qualitative and quantitative factor. The lessee assesses that 3 month extension at the end of lease term with substantially the same lease payment would not constitute a substantive change. Therefore, can is the third condition will be also satisfied. Third condition of para 46b, and of course this is due to the due to direct consequences of COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, practical expedient will be available. But in situation C, I have written first condition is satisfied, second condition is satisfied, but in third condition, there is reduction in the space by 500 square meter, that is 25% reduction. If the lessee assess that reduction of space would not constitute a substantive change, so the condition in para 46 BC of Ind AS 116 are not satisfied. The TED conclude that rent concession is not eligible for the application of practical expedient. Understood? I hope you have understood. So, can I say this? Just try to understand. This is a question of only 4 marks. Only write down the reason and why practical expedient is reason you write down and whether practical expedient is applicable or not applicable. For this, if it is not applicable, there is no need to mention anything about modification accounting. I hope you are understanding whatever I am saying. Correct? This also done. Then come to the last question of the FR, that is question number 6. Question number 6A. Heavy Limited has a plant with a normal capacity to produce 90,000. This is also taken from this question was given in ICAR revised study material of May 2021 attempt. Same to same question has been taken with some modification. I will say modification means what requirement of question is something different. What they have said, Heavy Limited has a plant with a normal capacity to produce 90,000 units of a product per annum and expected fixed production overhead for the year is 18 lakh. There was no quarterly or seasonal variation, and normal expected production of each quarter is uniform. It means, can I say 18 normal expected production to normal capacity is 90,000. 90,000 divided by 4 will do. So 90,000 divided by 4 is equal to how much? 22,500. And there is no variation in the overhead also. So 18 lakh divided by 4, it will be 4 lakh 50,000. 4 lakh 50,000. The actual production of the year is 87,000 units. The production details of each quarter are as under quarter 1, 2, 3, 4. Correct. Calculate the allocation of fixed production overhead for all the 4 quarters. Will the quarter result affect annual result? They have asked this point also. Will the quarter result affect the annual result? Give your answer as per Ind AS 34 with Ind AS 2. So Ind AS 2 says that whenever there is a fixed overhead will be allocated to each unit on the basis of what actual production or normal production, whichever is higher. So you can see 90,000 and 87,000. So of course we'll take normal capacity only. Correct now. So it will be allocated based on normal capacity. So it will be what? What will do 4 lakh 50,000 divided by 22,500. It is 20 per unit token is a fixed overhead will be allocated to each unit based on 20 rupees per unit. 20 rupees per unit. Now they have given actual production of each quarter. So you need to make one calculation about what? About what? What is the allocated fixed overhead for each quarter? Correct now. And how much expense will be charged to PL means if can I say allocation is less than actual, so of course that will be considered as an expense. Abnormal loss which will be charged to profit or loss. So what answer I have given, check करेंगे everyone. Yeah, you can see if it is considered that there is no quarterly or seasonal variation, therefore normal expected production for each quarter is itna and fixed production overhead for the quarter are itna. fixed overhead is to be allocated per unit of production every quarter will be 20 per unit, that is fixed overhead divided by normal production. You can see I have prepared one statement, quarter and 1, 2, 3 number of units produced as per the information given the question, multiplied by 20 allocated fixed production to multiply by 20, this is the allocated fixed production overhead to each unit. Then actual fixed production is itna. So can you say any difference will be either expense for that quarter or reduction in expense means 4 lakh 50,000. So can you say the extra fixed overhead will be considered as an expense? But in second year you can see 4 lakh 80,000 is allocated, but the expense is only 4 lakh 50,000. So that will be considered a reduction in expense in the second quarter, means we are doing cumulative adjustment. We are doing some cumulative adjustment. Yes, sir. Third year also you can see 4 lakh 70 minus 4 lakh 50. So 20,000 will be considered as reduction in expense. And the fourth quarter you can see 3 lakh 90 and 4 lakh 50. So in these the difference will be considered as expense in the fourth quarter. Yes, sir. You can see the total of these sum total of this will be 60,000, which is nothing but expense in the annual result, which will be the expense in the annual SOPL. So for annual SOPL means for the entire year 87,000 into 20 17 lakh 40,000, and the total production over it is 18 lakh, and you can see the difference will be considered as what, 60. This is 60,000. This will be considered as what, expense of the entire year. Means can say quarterly result will not affect annual result. Quarterly result will not affect annual result. Hence it can be concluded that quarterly result will not affect annual result. Understood? Have you understood this point? Bolo. Very simple. Next point. 6 के बाद point number 6B. 6B. On 1st October 2017, X Limited issue preference shares to be limited for a consideration of 18 lakh. So of course this is a question of what? This is a question of compound financial instrument. I hope you remember compound financial instrument. Ind AS 32 will be applicable. Correct? The holder has an option to convert this preference share to a fixed number of equity instrument of the issuer at any time up to a period of 4 years. If the holder does not exercise the option, the preference shares are redeemable at the end of 4 years. So option has been given. Whenever option has been given, the principal amount will be initially classified as liability. If you remember this point, yes sir. The preference shares carry a fixed coupon rate of 5.5% per annum and is payable every year. Means dividend is fixed. So dividend will be also considered as what? Contractual obligation to pay, means it will be also considered as liability. The prevailing market rate of similar preference share without the conversion feature is 8% per annum. Of course, this is the market rate of similar instrument without conversion option. X Limited has an early redemption option to prepay the instrument at 20 lakh, and on 30th September 2020 it exercised that option. The interest rate has changed on the date. Means there can be an early redemption. Whenever there is early redemption, so can I say we need to first split the fair value of that instrument on the redemption date into two part. Two part means what? Liability component, equity component, based on the market rate prevailing on that day. I hope you have understood. So what they have said, at the time X Limited could have issued 1 year non-convertible instrument at 6%. So based on 6%, we'll find out the fair value of liability component and fair value of equity component. Then we'll compare with the carrying amount of liability component and carrying amount of equity component. Any gain or loss on redemption, of liability component will be transferred to PL, and any difference in the equity component, means fair value of equity and carrying amount of equity, will remain in equity only. I hope you remember this point. Correct? But for 5 marks question, can I say this will become a very lengthy question? But what they have demanded, you see, calculate the value of liability and equity component at the date of initial recognition, and also give amortization schedule, limit discounting factor to 3 decimal place for calculation purpose. First, can I say they have given this information, but they have not required anything about the early redemption. Means if you are given some treatment about early redemption, can I say you have wasted your time in exam, because it's only a question of 5 marks. So only they have required what? The splitting part initially and the amortization table. They have not asked anything about accounting treatment of early redemption. So from my point of view, nothing was to be given. Second, they have said the 3 decimal place for discounting factor. If you have taken 4, if you have taken 5 decimal, so it might happen they may deduct marks. I don't know whether they will deduct, or they will not deduct, but they have a right to deduct because they have already informed you 3 decimal. Now you can't take 4 decimal, you can't take 5 decimal, even though it is correct. They have a right to deduct your marks. What I said, you will follow all the instructions given in the question. I hope you understand whatever I am saying. Correct? Yes, sir. So very simple question in this only splitting part. So of course we'll do splitting. So you can see splitting as per Ind AS 32 we have done. So year end, yes sir. Then we have find out contractual cash outflow, dividend based on 5.5% of 18 lakh, and then principal amount will be initially considered as financial liability because option has been given. Then discounting factor at the rate of 8%. This is the present value. This is liability component minus 18 lakh. This will be equity component. Then we have done amortization table. Amortization table I have done on the assumption that 30th September is the year end because the question was silent. So for simplicity, I have taken 30th September 2018 as year end. I have written as a note also. It has been assumed that financial year end on 30th September. You can also do that, or you can take also 31st March. You can also take 31st March. So opening liability, you can see the amortization table has been prepared. You are expert in this. I have also make a note that as the question has not required treatment of early exercise of redemption option, no treatment has been provided for the same in the solution. Understood? I hope you have understood. Come to the next question. Very simple paper, I will say. Point number C. Voya Limited issued 1000 share option to each of the 200 employee for an exercise price of rupees 10. Cancellation, already I said this was the only point from where institute has not asked any question from Ind AS 102, and I said pakka this will definitely be asked in some attempt, and now in this exam they have asked question on cancellation also. Cancellation, it is very simple concept, but if you have not revised this concept you might have not done correctly in exam. So I will say simple concept but require revision before exam. Yes, sir. Correct. Where Limited issued 1000 share option to each of his 200 employee for an exercise price of 10. The employee required to stay in the employment for the next 3 years. The fair value of the option is estimated at rupees 80, which is the fair value on grant date. 90% employee are expected to vest the option. Okay, sir. The company faced the severe crisis during the second year and it was decided to cancel the scheme with immediate effect. The market price of the share at the date of cancellation was 15. The market price of shares, this information is not at all relevant. Market price of shares, this information is not at all relevant. The following information is available. The fair value of option on the date of cancellation is 12. The company paid compensation to employee at a rate of 13.5. It means, can I say they have paid something extra beyond fair value of option on the date? It means if it is settled in cash, so they will pay as per the fair value of option, but they have paid 13.5, means some extra amount has been paid. Yes, sir. There was only 190 employee in the employment at the time, means initially it was expected that 90% employee will vest the option, means 200 into 90% is equal to 180. So initially first year we have taken 180, but second year on the date of cancellation there were 190 employee available. Yes, sir. So can I say in this first year employee benefit expense will be recognized as per normal solution? Yes, sir. For second year, on the date of cancellation, as per Ind AS 102, entire original expense will be recognized. Means we will recognize all future expenditure on the date of cancellation only. On the date of cancellation means original expenditure as planned will be minimum expenditure to be recognized as an expense. So on the date of cancellation, entire expense will be recognized. Entire expense will be recognized. Yes, sir. Correct. Then on the date of settlement, we'll find out gain or loss on settlement. Gain or loss on settlement will be 13.5 minus 12, means 1.5 per option per employee. This will be gain or loss which will be transferred to PL. And whatever equity, means whatever equity is there, can you see that will be considered buyback? So on buyback of equity, any difference arising that will remain in equity only. This is the entire solution. Let me explain you from the solution point of view. So you can see we have done year 1, year 2. Expected employee to vest 180, but यहाँ पे will take actual number of employee. Fair value of option is 1818. Number of option will be 1000 per employee. It will become 1 lakh 80. It become 1 lakh 90. The total fair value of option will be 1 lakh 80 into 18. Then 1 lakh 90 into 18. Then first year the expense to be recognized will be 1/3. So we have done 32 lakh 40,000 divided by 3, that is 10 lakh 80,000. But of second year full as it is cancelled, so we'll do 34 lakh 20,000 minus this will be the expense of the second year. Correct? Means as per the accounting treatment is concerned, first year will do employee benefit expense to SBP reserve. How much? 10 lakh 80,000. 10 lakh 80,000. This is year 1 end. Then year 2 end will do employee benefit expense to SBP reserve, that is 23 lakh 40,000. 23 lakh 40,000. Yes sir. Yes sir. Then on the date of cancellation, can I say on the date of cancellation we need to find out gain or loss on settlement. In this case cancellation date and settlement date are same, correct? Means, can I say we need to recognize, we need to pass one journal entry. What is the total SBP reserve? Total SBP reserve is what? It is 34 lakh 20,000. And how much payment done? Payment done is equal to 1000 into 190, and payment is 13.5. Yes sir. So 1000 into 190 into 13.5 is equal to 25 lakh 65,000. Correct. Then first we need to find a loss on settlement. The loss will be transferred to PL. Loss will be transferred to PL. So 1.5 extra payment has been done. To 1000 into 190 into 1.5, that is 2 lakh 85,000. So this is 2 lakh 85,000 will be the loss. This is nothing but 1000 into 190 into 1.5. I hope you are understanding. And any difference journal entry will be transferred to other equity, or you can transfer to return earning. Means that difference will be adjusted in other equity. तो difference कितना है check करेंगे? 34 lakh 20,000 plus 2 lakh 85,000 minus 25 lakh 65,000, that is equal to how much? I think some calculation mistake we have done. 34 lakh 20,000 plus 2 lakh 85,000 minus 25 lakh 65,000, that is 11 lakh 40,000 is coming. 11 lakh 40,000. 1 minute. What I have done? 2 lakh 85,000 is correct. 25 lakh 65,000 is correct. Yes sir. Yes sir. Correct. 1 second. 34 lakh 20,000 plus 2 lakh 85,000 minus 25 lakh 65,000. It is 11 lakh 40,000, correct? So this will be transferred to retained earning. It is 11 lakh 40,000. 11 lakh 40,000. And you can see the what is the total debit to the equity. You have debited SBP reserve by 34 lakh 20,000 and you have credited other equity by 11 lakh 40,000. So what is the impact of this? Impact कितना पड़ो? Other equity में impact कितना पड़ा? 34 lakh 20,000 minus 11 lakh 40,000, that is 22 lakh 80,000. So impact means other equity will decrease. Other equity will decrease by how much? 22 lakh 80,000. I hope you have understood this point. I hope you have understood. Correct? Yes sir. Yes sir. You can pass a separate journal entry also. I have done what a compound journal entry for your understanding. Correct? So what they have done? Cancellation compensation. Compensation amount is 25 lakh 65,000. Then amount to be deducted from equity. Amount to be deducted from equity. For before that, we'll calculate amount transferred. Amount to be deducted from equity is what? 190. What is the fair value of option? That is 12. Means, can I say equity if that will be only purchased on fair value? What is the amount to be deducted from equity? That is 190 into 1000 into the fair value option. That is nothing but this amount. This is nothing but 22 lakh 80,000. Check करेंगे 22 lakh 80,000. And the difference between these two will be what? Loss on settlement, that will be transferred to PL. So that is nothing but this calculation only. I hope you have understood. Correct? Have you understood this point? Yes sir, we have understood. Correct? Understood. This is also very simple question already done in class. Yes sir. And I have also mentioned expected in this question. Yes sir. Then the last question of CA final exam, that is point number D. This question also have been asked in previous and have also once again repeated in exam, and have been given RTP, MTP many times. Means super expected question. It was super expected question. As a part of its business expansion strategy, UG Limited is in the process of setting up healthcare intermediate business. The process is at very initial stage. Toward this, the UG Limited acquired on 1st April 2020 100% of ordinary shares of AG Limited. AG Limited manufacture healthcare intermediate. The purchase consideration is what? 1750 lakh. The fair value of net asset is 750, but its fair value does not include point number A and point number B. A patent owned by AG Limited for an established successful intermediate drug that has a remaining useful life of 10 years. A consultant has estimated the value of patent to be 500 lakh. However, outcome of clinical trial for the same is to be awaited. If the trial are successful, the value of the drug would be amounting to rupees 750 lakhs. 750 lakhs. There are 2 points. Can I say whenever there is a business combination, then all the intangible asset will be recognized in the books of acquirer if it meet the definition, even though it was not recognized in the books of acquiring. Means it might happen that it is internally generated intangible asset in the books of acquiring which meet recognition criteria in the books of acquirer because it meet the definition of intangible asset. I hope you understand it. So can you see, even though this patent owned by AG Limited might not be recognized in the books of what? Might not be recognized in the books of what? UG Limited, but will be recognized in the books of what? Which books? What? Sorry, was not recognized in the books of UG Limited. Sorry, AG Limited, but will be recognized in the books of UG Limited. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Correct. Yes, sir. AZ Limited has developed and patented a new vaccine. So this is developed. They have developed it. Internally developed? Yes, sir. Which has been approved for clinical use. The cost of developing the vaccine was 600 lakh. So cost of developing this development cost might include some research expenditure, development expenditure. So it may or may not be recognized as per the criteria given under Ind AS 38. I hope you remember. Means it might happen it is recognized as an expense or capitalized, whatever. That we need to follow Ind AS 38 in the books of AG Limited. Based on early assessment of its sales, its market value has been estimated 1000 lakh. So can you see, even though it was not recognized in the books of what? Acquiry will be recognized in the books of what? Acquirer if it meet the definition of intangible asset. So both will meet the definition of intangible asset because both are identifiable. Yes, sir. The fair value will be what? 500 lakh for this and 1000 lakh for this. UG Limited has required you to suggest the accounting treatment of the above transaction under the applicable India is very simple. I will say what the answer is given. Check करेंगे. चेक करते हैं what the answer is given. As per para 13 of Ind AS 103, the para is not required to quote. Yes, sir. The acquirer application of the recognition principle and condition may result in recognizing some assets and liability that acquiree had not previously recognized as assets liability in financial statement. This may be the case when the asset is developed by the entity internally and charge the related cost to expense. Based on above, point number one, patent owned by AG Limited will be valued at what? 500 crore. It cannot be estimated as 750 crore because that was the subsequent fair value. That is the subsequent fair value, correct? After initial recognition, we can apply Ind AS 38 and subsequently it can be revalued. Yes, sir. In the books of, I am saying about in the books of what? Acquirer. Point number two, patent internally developed by AG Limited, of course, it will be valued at 1000 crore. So you can see the fair value of net asset given. Itna will add 500, will add 1000, become 2250. Less purchase consideration. This will be capitalism, is gain on bargain purchase, which will be ultimately transferred to capital reserve. Understood? All the question has been discussed. I will say from my point of view, because entire question were directly from ICS study material. I have already said this question paper was a gift to all CS students who have written the exam, but you might have taken some time to write because either you are over excited about a question or due to lack of practice you have not able to manage the time. If that is the situation, from my point of view, you have left some question, but whatever you have done, from my point of view, you have done correctly only. Correct? Provided you have not done small mistake about the amount or calculation mistake. Correct? Yes, sir. But as per my discussion with my student, they have already said that question paper was easy. All question from expected only. So they have definitely. I hope they have done well. I hope every student has done well. Correct. We will wait for the result. Yes, sir. I wish you all the best wishes for the examination. But one suggestion I will give: till examination result come, don't waste this time period. Means if you have written group 1, start preparing for group 2. If you have written both group and from other, just try to understand um, whatever I am saying. It might means you may feel differently in this what, but if you have written both group and if any point of time you think that you may not pass, I will say you start preparing once again for that group in which you have a doubt, because always we follow in their studies when we think about contingencies. Yes, sir. So I will say start preparing. Suppose you are not sure about group 1, start preparing for group 1. If you are not sure about group 2, start preparing for group 2. Even though you have written what? Both group. They could just try to one. Don't waste this 2 months because this 2 months will be crucial for the next attempt. Yes sir, yes sir. If you are totally confident, then I will say do some constructive work, do some constructive work. Don't waste this 2 months, because this 2 months will be whatever, with the result will come. I don't know when the result is going to come, but normally it take 1.5 month or 2 months, whatever time period is there for the for 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 the examination result. Don't waste this time. Yes sir, yes sir. I wish you all the best once again for the examination result. But whatever time is left for the examination result, please use it in constructive way. Correct? Yes, sir. Now, one more point. If you have liked the video, please share this video with your friends so that they will be also benefited with this video. And also, what was your experience in your exam? Suppose you have written in this exam only. What was your experience? Please mention in the comment box so that I can also feel what you have done in your exam. And also, if you have not written the exam, how you feel about this examination, please mention in the comment box. Correct. Till then, I will ask a leave from you. Once again, all the best wishes for your exam if you have written in this exam, and if you are writing in the coming exam, for that also all the best wishes. We'll meet once again. Till then, bye bye, take care.